Superbooth 2018,
yes.
Not 17. Andrew from SSF, it's great to meet you.
You too.
How's Berlin treating you?
Great so far.
Yeah, first day, so we're all alright, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty mellow today.
Got our voices. So we've got some brand new modules and some things that were announced a little bit earlier this year. What would you like to start with? I mean, walk us through it. We've got a great patch set up.
Yeah, let's talk about this patch. So we've got the gate storm controlling everything. The new firmware that's coming out very soon is controlling everything. The new firmware adds ratcheting per step. You can go to each lane. You know, I'll go to this blank lane. Now when you go to steps and you hold down steps, you can ratchet and you can turn on or off ratcheting, and you can either put 1, 2, or 3 ratchets per step, and then you can.
Is that how we're getting that little triplet kind of burst?
Exactly, and then you can go in and turn those on and off. So you have like little mini ratcheting sequences per step.
So you can set 4 little bursts, but only the first and the last, or the first and the second.
Yeah, exactly. We also add PPQN support and a sequence mode where you can string together as many patterns as you want for indefinitely.
All right, brilliant.
Those are the major additions to that. So the gate storm is controlling the entity bass drum and the entity percussion synthesizer. And so one of the new modules that's in the mix here is the entity bass drum is going out to the Autodyne, which is our new compressor module. It's an adaptive compressor, so there's no attack and release setting. It's an auto compressor.
Did I see that this was called a character compressor somewhere else? Some color?
Yeah, because you can add a lot of gain to it. One of the cool additions to this too is that we have a sidechain filter, so you can filter out the bass, or
you can stop it pumping too much with all the low end.
Exactly. And we also added like a blend control for
parallel, the New York compression thing.
Exactly.
It sounds like we've got a kind of hi-hat and a bass and a snare.
Right. So we have the snare, which has noise in it, but we're also using purple noise from the Quantum Rainbow, and that's going into Muton. So Muton is 8 VCAs. They're unity gain VCAs, so you can control them with CV, and then you have soft muting per channel, so you don't get any pops or clicks. And this is also a cascading summing mixer, so I could have any groups or combination of groups of summing mixes. As long as nothing is patched in above here, it'll be a mix of all 8 channels. If I patched into 4, whatever was on 1 through 4, and would
2 free input mixes and a 2, or 2 4s, or a full 8.
And that's all discrete transistor circuitry, so it adds a nice warmth to the sound without too much distortion. So everything's pretty much going through there. And I've got, from that point on, it's kind of complex to where I have this routed to. So one of the main features of this patch is everything's going through our new filter, which is called the stereo dipole. Now this is a stereo filter. You can operate it both channels at the same time using the stereo controls, but you also have independent controls over each channel. Now each channel is a multimode filter, and you have a direct output for the 12 dB per octave multimode filter, which is controlled by frequency A and B, but you also have a secondary output, which is another filter, which is also controlled by the main control, but you have an offset to control the cutoff frequency of that filter.
Okay, so you can create the stereo image on the filter rather than having to put something in.
Well, yes, you can do that because the left input is normalized to the right, but what this is a dual peak filter.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can route that in series or parallel.
So you can add this extra peak between them.
Right, exactly.
And having the ins and outs, you can patch this in series as well if you want.
Right. And then we have a 5th output that is all 4 filters.
Okay.
So you could have 4 peak filter coming out of this. And the sound source is the 0-point oscillator. It's a pretty basic output where we're just controlling it with the Bantam, using the Bantam as a modulation source. The slope generator is being triggered by gate storm, and we're patching that through the sample and hold, and we're also using it to control the VCA on the noise for the hi-hats. And then everything's going into the ultra heterodyne, which is our new stereo VCA. It's a really high quality VCA. It can do 2 and 4 quadrant multiplication, so through 0. You have panning on each channel, and you also have stereo panning. There's 2 different pan laws for different panning shapes. You have a balance control, which crossfades between your CV source and your modulation input. Okay. So it's kind of like a ring modulation effect where you can mix the carrier and the modulator. Yep. Then you have linear and exponential CV response, a bias control. There's direct outputs for the VCAs, and then left-right outputs. And let's see, anything else happening?
Could you talk a little bit about Bantam as well? This was announced a little while ago. How kind of far on's this? So is it this year you're looking to release?
I am definitely looking to release it this year. I have to do at least one more prototype just to make sure everything's perfect. But it's pretty much good to go. It's just a matter of building them. It's going to be pretty time consuming. But just to run down quickly the features of this, you have a MIDI to CV converter. It can operate in mono or paraphonic mode, where it just controls the pitch of the 2 different oscillators, because you have 1 filter, 1 VCA. Yeah. You have a modulation oscillator that can also be mixed into the audio path, so you can have 3 oscillators. This is a Polyvox style filter. I added voltage controlled resonance to that. You have an ADSR with 3 speeds and 3 different modes, and a slope with 3 speeds and 3 different modes. Rise and fall are both voltage controllable. The VCA section, it's a discrete VCA with 3 harmonics modes. You have overdrive, a wave folder, and a kind of a combo of the 2 that we call nuke.
Yeah, real nasty.
Yep. And then there's a voltage controlled analog delay.
And a ton of utility and patch points to the right as well.
There's a ton of patch points, yeah. This will operate like a normal synth if you have nothing patched in. So, you know, if you're comfortable using a typical analog synth, you'll be comfortable using this, and you can start to experiment with patching. It can also be something that you keep for a while because it integrates well within a modular system.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.